we now have in Canada, in many major cities, battles in the streets between people who are supporting other countries. They came here and they're battling it out. Is this because no core identity? Before I go further, Dan McTeague is my guest, but we have to mention this. Please ask your friends to subscribe and PayPal, because we have to stay on the air because we don't get paid by Mr. Trudeau. You know why. Dan McTeague, Liberal MP for over 19 years. The Liberal Party was the Liberal Party. We now have people battling in the streets. We now have, somebody in Montreal in the fall said, Allah, identify and help us kill the Jews. I mean, when you were a member of Parliament, this would have been not heard of. Is it because we are losing our identity as Canadians?
I think we've encouraged those who say that we shouldn't have an identity. We have a Prime Minister who talked about the post-national state, but we've also, I think, in this country decided that we're going to diminish history. We want to cover the things about our country. We want to say that what we did in the past was bad. I sense that the pendulum has shifted dramatically, and although some people are very comfortable with this critical theory and all this other wonderful stuff that we've seen emerge over the past few years, I think there's a sense that maybe we've gone too far. But the going too far also means if you have people doing and saying things in the street that would otherwise be punishable, we can't pick and choose who we're going to charge.
We have to have the rule of law, in other words.
Well, and it has to be upheld. It has to be applied. So the administration of justice has to be honored. It has to be applied evenly and fairly. Apparently in Canada, I think it's fair to say, it is not.
No, well, that's absolutely true, because somebody can come out and say, you know what, we're going to murder those people, nothing happens, and others, they get away with
Imagine if I had said something like that in the public domain. I can tell you I'd be in the pokey very quickly with our police making sure there's a huge escort.
The other thing is, you would have been defeated in your riding because people would have said, this is wrong, and you weren't defeated. So, maybe politics has to come full force on this one, and people in the next election say, what you guys are saying, you guys in power, is wrong.
I think people have stayed on the sidelines and said, let's these changes happen, are finally getting re-engaged and saying, okay, we've gone too far. This is getting a little crazy. And we want to make sure that we have at least a modicum of decency and respect for each other, where we don't allow hateful language and we don't allow the kind of invective that we've seen from many people on this particular issue and many others.
But Dan, that used to be one of the core identifications of Canadians. We were nice. You bump into something, I'm sorry. We were so nice, and we were decent. And the Prime Minister said, we don't want a core identity. Is that what we're reaping right now? Has he changed Canada that much in 8 years?
We're not looking for solutions. We simply want to take sides. It's easier to divide and conquer, and that's how the Prime Minister has become the Prime Minister, by the thinnest of margins. Unfortunately, the identity of the country is lost.
Can we get it back? I mean, if it was so easy to disappear in 8 years, can we get it back?
Well, I think there's a need to get back to understanding what a Canadian really is.
It's part of that education?
It is part of the education system, and it's also part of having something we haven't heard from. A little bit of pride, and I'm not talking about sinful pride. I'm talking about saying it's not a bad thing to say I'm Canadian, and there's a reason why I feel proud of being that, not sitting on the sideline taking sides.
Dan McTeague, that's so refreshing. Thank you. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.